And we are joined, the Meghan Patrick joins the show. Meghan, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
So how you holding up in this whole isolation time frame we got right now?
You know what? I'm doing pretty good. It was, at first it was tough because I mean, aside, even putting aside how scary it was, like, oh my gosh, what's happening and this, virus and how serious is it? Everybody was kind of freaking out and even aside from that, I was just like all of a sudden, my tours were canceled, my shows were canceled. Um, I had to go home, all my writing sessions, all this stuff that I had been planning for and working towards and looking forward to for, a really long time were just all of a sudden just kind of taken away and canceled and put to a halt. So I kind of struggled with it at first. I had a lot of days where I was just really bummed out and had a lot of anxiety and I was, stressed out about the future, but I feel like I've kind of settled into a good place where, there's definitely still a level of stress and anxiety about, when I'm going to be able to go back to work, when am I going to be able to play shows again and all that stuff. But I also, understand, I mean, it is what it is. There's nothing I can really do about it. And so I've just been trying to focus on, doing positive things with this downtime. I mean, I've never had this. I don't remember the last time I had this much time off. I've never, Mitchell and I, my boyfriend and I have never had this much time together. We're both traveling musicians. And so it's been good. We've been getting stuff done around the house and I've been going hunting, spending some time outside and it's been good.
The Fred Minnick Show is brought to you by The Beeline. Visit findyoursippingpoint.com, by Michter's American Whiskies, by 291 Colorado Whiskey, and Rack House Whiskey Club. Enter Fred at checkout to save $25.
Yeah, you talk about like the frustrations. I definitely hear you from a career perspective because you've been on this incredible steady climb since 2016. You've you kind of became like a hero in some cases in Canada, became like this, like a proud, like Canadian country music star on the rise. And here we are like this, this was looking to be a great year for you. And the damn pandemic
Yeah.
comes.
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit frustrating and disappointing. I mean, last year felt like kind of I don't know, like a building year. Like I felt like, okay, the work that I put in now is going to pay off next year. So I had a lot of big things planned for this year. Thankfully, I did get to do some of them. I did get to do the Old Dominion tour, which was amazing. We did have to cut my first headlining tour short. I'm hoping we'll be able to reschedule some of those dates, but we're just kind of waiting to see how that all goes. But I was also supposed to start my radio tour here in the US, which would be leading towards my first single on the radio here in the US. And so that's been kind of put on hold for the moment. And the same, this was my first year playing a lot of the big American country festivals, and a few of those have already been canceled or postponed. So it was just frustrating because, I think any Canadian artist who has moved down here or is really trying to like make waves in America, they can all attest to how hard it is, to just even get to a place where you feel like you have an opportunity. So I was frustrated with that, but I think at the end of the day, those opportunities are still going to be there for me when all this is over. And, we're going to just hit the ground running. And I mean, the thing is, every artist is in the same boat. We're all kind of just sitting here in limbo, just waiting for when we can go back to work and just making the best of it. We've been doing all these Instagram live things and stuff like that. And I'm still, I still do writing sessions over Zoom and everything. So it's all I can do right now.
Yeah. And I know, you are an avid hunter. How has this interrupted, probably the one thing that you would do to get away from a stressful time?
Well, I don't know. I had heard that that the hunting season had been put on hold in Canada or something. I don't know if that's true. I just saw somebody post that online. There haven't been any restrictions put on hunting here. It's turkey season right now. for spring, which, I mean, I don't see why there wouldn't be. I mean, you're out there by yourself in the middle of the woods. I couldn't get any further from other people, you know, if I tried. So, yeah, so I've been out the last couple of days. I've seen a little bit of action. I haven't had anything come in that I had a shot at yet, but either way, I mean, of course I'd like to get a turkey, but I just really love being outdoors. I love watching the sun come up, you know, the quiet, even like getting up super early and getting in my truck by myself and just like driving in and there's, you know, everybody else is still sleeping. I've always kind of loved those little moments. So, you know, and to be honest, if it weren't for this, you know, this quarantine right now, I probably wouldn't have even had time to go hunting this spring anyway, because my schedule was supposed to be so crazy. So, you know, there's a little silver lining there, I guess.
And you've added a new coping mechanism to your life, and the fact that you have joined me in the nation of hating vodka. I love that you put on the shirt. Vodka sucks. It's awesome.
Yes, I love this shirt, and you know, I've never the only I guess exception to that is I do like Caesars. That's the only time I will drink vodka. But like people that I don't understand, like people that just do shots of vodka, like why don't you just drink nail polish remover, you know? Like,
oh my gosh.
Ugh. I will never be a vodka soda girl. I know that it's supposed to be like the skinny drink or something, but that's not for me.
You have no idea how much, you know, the people listening to this show are just going to absolutely love you and go download every single thing you've ever done.
I hope so. Well, I mean, and I'm not putting it on. I really do love whiskey, and it's really kind of the only liquor I do. I mean, mostly I drink beer or whiskey. I mean, if you've seen my show, usually I'm on stage with a bottle of whiskey. So,
well, you are extraordinarily talented, and I have sent you some really great whiskeys.
Yes.
Do you have your glass ready? Are you ready to do some?
Yes, I've got a whole little setup here. I've got different glasses for each whiskey, so you know we can keep it pure. I'm really excited. I even brought in a little bowl of Cheez-Its as a palate cleanser.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if that's a thing, but
well,
yes.
I wouldn't normally recommend Cheez-Its, but I did eat a bunch of Cheez-Its last night. So
I just had a bowl there because I have an addiction to Cheez-Its. So
I'm there with you. They're amazing. Cheez-Its are delicious.
Okay, so which one should I drink first?
Let's start with the Woodinville. Do you see the Woodinville one?
Hey, I do. Yes. Here we go. Woodinville. Yeah. I'm excited because the only one of these that I had heard of was I've had Elijah Craig, I think, before, and I think maybe Weller, but the other ones I didn't know, so I'm really excited.
So this is from a distillery in Washington. They're actually super on the rise, and that is my last pour of that particular bottle of Woodinville. So I'll be drinking a different bottle, a different one. So
well, I'm very excited. It smells great. Cheers.
This was my craft whiskey of the year last year, and no wasting time for you. You just get right into it.
Yeah. Wow. That is really good. That's really smooth.
So that's a bourbon made in Washington. A lot of people think that bourbon has to be made in Kentucky, when in fact it can be made anywhere in the United States. It cannot be made in Canada. It just has to be made in the United States. So like it's a particular. In 1964, Congress declared bourbon to be a unique product of the United States, basically giving it protection from other countries making it. And Canada does a really, really good job of making whiskey there. They have their own style. In fact, do you drink any Canadian whiskeys like Crown Royal or Canadian Club or something like that?
Actually, my favorite Canadian whiskey is 40 Creek.
You know what? That's a very American style. It's delicious.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I don't remember it. Somebody gave it to me as a gift. Well, I think my mom bought it for me because every year for Christmas, my mom always buys me a bottle of bourbon or whiskey, and I usually bring her something from here in Nashville that she can't get back home. So we kind of do like a whiskey exchange. But yeah, she got me the 40 Creek, the copper pot barrel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's usually my go-to for Canadian whiskey. Crown is okay for me. I don't know. It's a little like almost too sweet. And I don't know, there's an aftertaste to it that I don't dig all that much.
Awesome. So normally I tell people to nose the whiskey a little bit, bring it in in your nose, kind of left and right, kind of warming it up. And when you smell it with your mouth open. What that does is it allows you to pick up more than just the alcohol.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then, swirled around. And I do dig those glasses. Those are really.
Thank you. Well, I have to show you. Hold on. You will probably appreciate this. These glasses came with this liquor decanter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's got like its own, it's got its own little setup. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're not taking that out with you to taste turkeys, are you?
No.
It would be tempting,
That was a late night Amazon purchase, and I might have been a few whiskeys deep when I bought it, and I didn't know what it was going to look like, but it looks really cool up on our bar, so it was a good purchase.
Right on. Yeah.
This is delicious.
This is one of those distilleries. They're very tiny, but they are on the rise. So be on the lookout.
So do you know, is this something, can you only get this in Washington then?
No, you could probably, I don't know if they're available in Tennessee, but I can have that. I can connect with that distillery and see if they'll send you a bottle if you're really digging it.
I really do. This is very, very good. Very good. I could drink a lot of this. It's yeah, I don't know. It's just like really well balanced. It's got like just the right amount of burn, but still smooth. It's got a bit of a earthiness and like a little, I almost get a little bit of maple syrup kind of. I don't know. Maybe that's just the Canadian in me, but I really, really like that a lot.
Well, this finished in my, I want to say it finished, it was my craft whiskey of the year last year, and it came really close to beating Pappy Van Winkle in a blind tasting that I did.
Wow.
And it's like only 4 or 5 years old. But you got the last of my bottle, so.
Well, thank you. I feel very special.
You could tell, like you as you were pouring it, you're like, oh, there's not a lot here. So.
No, it was great. I'm like, actually, I set it aside. I'm going to save that for later. I'm going to savor that one.
All right, let's go to the Russell's Reserve.
Okay.
The turkey one.
Yes. Russell single barrel.
So this was a gift to me by a good friend. He did a barrel pick.
Okay.
Wild turkey. So you can go and pick your own barrels of whiskey.
Oh, cool.
And they'll bottle all of them, and you can buy all the bottles. And that's what this is. And the nickname on it for the bottle is called Russell the Muscle, because Jimmy Russell, that was his nickname. He's like this iconic, legendary master distiller for wild turkey. He's in his 80s, he's retired, but not really retired kind of guy. But he was an All-American or All-State basketball player, and he's got a photo on the back of him holding two basketballs from like, I think this is from the 40s or 50s, but it was one of it's just a fun little barrel pick.
That's awesome.
And usually this is some of the best whiskey that you'll have from a barrel pick is out of these Russell Reserve picks.
Wow. Whew. That's good.
And of course, you being a turkey hunter, this brand is named after basically the whiskey that they used to bring on turkey hunts. So, yeah, that is good.
Sorry, say that again. You kind of cut out for a minute there.
So the wild turkey got its name from these people that would take out, they would go hunting for turkeys, and they would bring whiskey from the barrels out of their distillery on a whiskey hunt or on a turkey hunt. And
Mhm.
that they were coming up with like a new brand. They said, well, why don't we call it Wild Turkey after did you just lose an earring?
It just fell off.
Just fell off?
There we go.
Does that happen often?
Um,
That's a big earring.
no. Yeah, I mean, I don't really wear earrings all that much because usually, well, at least like when I'm on stage, I don't, because I'm very rambunctious and I'm always like flipping my hair all over the place. So I'm worried that it's gonna like catch or fall out anyway. So I'm not very used to wearing them. I was like trying to, dress up. I am wearing sweatpants though. I'm not gonna lie to you because
But
I mean,
it's all good.
all of these interviews, you can't see it. So
Right. I was wearing pajama pants, the other day, walking around. I was like, yeah, who cares? I'm on Zoom.
I mean, honestly, people that are like hanging out in their houses wearing jeans, like what during quarantine, like what are you trying to prove? Like,
ooh, I'm a big guy. I'm wearing jeans in the house. It's
aren't you fancy?
I'm a
Oh, your jeans still fit you? Good for you.
There ain't no way, Megan, I'm getting on a scale right.
Oh.
Ain't no way I'm getting on a scale right now.
Oh gosh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No way.
It is so bad, right? I mean, I think I just polished off a bag of nachos or nacho chips. I mean, we won't even talk.
Well, I really love to cook, and so with all this time, I've been cooking a bunch. I've been grilling a lot too. One of our friends got us a green egg for a housewarming gift, which has been the best thing ever. I've been grilling almost every night. But I mean, what kind of, like, you can't just have like barbecue or grilled meats without mac and cheese as a side.
Right.
You just don't do that. So there's been a lot of mac and cheese being eaten in this house.
I love it. Well, you ready for number 3?
I am.
I don't know which direction I want to take you for 3. I think I missed it. Let's go with contradiction.
All right.
So this is actually a blend of straight whiskeys, and what that means is that they take 2 whiskeys that are at least 2 years old from 2 different distilleries, and blend them together. And this is from a distillery in West Virginia called Smooth Ambler. These guys they're among, a lot of people are making hand sanitizer right now. These were one of the very first distillers to make hand sanitizer, and they're donating it and giving it away to hospitals and first responders. So really,
yeah, that's awesome.
Really, really cool people.
That's great. I actually, I just watched, there's a documentary I found on, I think it was on either Netflix or Prime. Have you ever seen the documentary called The Wild, Wonderful Whites of West Virginia?
No, that sounds great though.
It is crazy. So it's based on the family, the Whites. So Jessica White was like a famous, somebody is going to correct me on this. I forget what the term is, but it's basically like you're like a tap dancer, but like in the Appalachian Mountains, it's like to bluegrass music. And Jessica White was famous for this. So it's all about his family. And I'll just say that if you watched Tiger King and you thought these people were crazy, go ahead and watch this documentary and then tell me what you think.
Okay, I'm down. Where can we find that? On Amazon Prime or Netflix? Or
yeah, I think it's on Amazon Prime. It might be on Netflix too, but I think I watched it on Amazon Prime. But it's crazy. I think I tweeted the other day that the cast of Tiger King might as well be the Brady Bunch compared to the White family.
Wow, I gotta watch this now.
Yeah, you should.
Tiger King, I haven't jumped into this. My wife told me the story about what Tiger King is today. And I was just like, good Lord. And I grew up in Oklahoma, so I've had a lot of people reach out to me, ask me if I knew this guy. And to be honest with you, I did know there was there were people who owned tigers and bred tigers in Oklahoma somewhere, but I didn't really,
Yeah.
I didn't know who these people were. But yeah, this whole thing is just weird.
I just was blown away. I mean, I think Mitchell and I like binge watched it. I think we watched it all in one night, or maybe spread over 2 nights. And I was just like, just when you think it's as weird as it can get, it gets so much weirder. And you're just like, I cannot believe that not only that one human being exists like this, but a whole like community of people exists like this. It's insane. Great entertainment.
So Contradiction, after tasting those other two, what do you think? Is this one different?
It's definitely different. It's more like peaty, kind of like I don't
Picking up some smoke, are you?
Yeah, I like it. I think the first one, what was the first one called? The Woodinville or Woodinville? I think that's still my favorite. This is this feels like lighter a little bit. Like it's not as heavy. It doesn't burn as much. The second one, the Russell had the most like burn right off the top. But it's good. I feel like there's just not as many like layers of flavors to it.
Yeah,
but it's very like easy to drink. Like it's very drinkable.
Yeah,
very smooth.
In fairness to this particular one, I mean, it's kind of gone up against I wouldn't say but behemoths, but two very whiskey of the year kind of contenders. So
yeah, I mean it's delicious. I just, in comparison with the other two, it's still very good, but it's not my favorite so far.
So would you drink this over Jack Daniels?
I would drink a lot of things over Jack Daniels. I was thinking about what I was going to say, and I didn't know how inappropriate I could be on your show. So
you can be.
I was going to say I'd drink horse piss over Jack Daniels, but here's the thing about me and Jack Daniels. I used to love Jack Daniels, but we dated in college. We were really hot and heavy. We were on and off. It was a rough breakup, and we just don't talk anymore. It's for the best that Jack Daniels and I are over.
Well, there are some really good Jack Daniels products. So absolutely. What I might do the next go around is I'll put another name on there so you won't know. And then when I tell you it's Jack, you'll be like, then you might run up and be like, oh my God, bad memory.
Oh, no. There's one that my uncle really likes that I did really like. I can't go for the basic kind of Jack Daniels. I think it's just something about the taste of it. It's like a physical reflex for me, which I hate because it's, it's everywhere. I mean, especially in country music, everybody drinks Jack Daniels, and it's like, I just can't do it. I can't do it.
Well, one of the things, they're real big supporters of country, as you know. And
oh yeah,
they
absolutely.
Tour buses, they sponsor tours.
Yeah.
There. So.
Well, and that's the thing. Why, so Eric Church is my favorite, new country artist, and he's obviously loves Jack Daniels, and I'm like, I mean, if I could just try and get back into it and like it again. I mean, if I ever sat down with Eric Church and he wanted to drink Jack Daniels, I'd get over it. So
Eric, if you're listening, which I know that you do sometimes, give Megan a call.
I would let Jack Daniels kick my ass again for Eric Church.
That's awesome. Well, there are some other Tennessee whiskeys out there that, they're looking to, move in a little bit on the stronghold that Jack has on country music. So you can always use that Jack hate to your advantage in some way.
It's not a hate. It's just I
don't know.
I just can't do it, But
more of like an allergy. How's that?
Yeah, it's more of a it's more of an allergy. That's a good way of putting it. I mean, I wish I did. I wear like Jack Daniels t-shirts all the time. I mean, I love everything, the branding, and I know all the history and everything behind it. I just can't actually physically drink it without having horrible memories of college.
I love it. Oh, well, let's get to probably on any given list, this is going to be a whiskey of the year contender. It's the Weller. This
Okay.
is this is the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, William
Okay.
Brew Weller. It's a cask strength wheated bourbon, so basically straight out of the barrel. Same recipe as Pappy Van Winkle, but some would tell you that this is the one that they prefer over Pappy.
Wow. Smells great.
I always
I
find
don't.
the caramel bomb,
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if I've had this before or if I just recognize the name, but. Oh, wow. That is really good.
I've had it many times. It never gets old. And the things you have to do to get a bottle, I mean, you have to work to get these bottles. Some people will camp out overnight, kind of like this.
Yeah.
Like
You know what? Okay, I think the reason why I recognize it, my boyfriend, I think, had told me. I need to go and look in our liquor cabinet to see if we maybe have this, because I remember him telling me about this whiskey that was really, really hard to get, and it's really hard to find. And I remember we went into this random little liquor store right when the quarantine started. We were stocking up, and he found a bottle that he was so excited about. He's like, you can never find this. So I wonder if that's what it was. I feel I got to go check and see if that's what it was. He'll know for sure. But he actually really is more into tequila, but he just will sip whiskey. Like if we're just kind of hanging out at home, like, end of the night after dinner, he'll like sip on some whiskey. But if he's like out, he drinks tequila, which I can't do that either. But
wait, hold on.
He does enjoy a good.
Does tequila bring back the same kind of memories as Jack, or?
No, I don't have like bad memories with it. I just don't like it. I don't know. I mean, I really like margaritas, like if it's mixed with something, I'll do that. But like, if I do a shot of tequila, like immediate gag reflex. I just can't, which I wish that I could, because, they say that tequila is the only like upper, of alcohol. And I do like the buzz that I get from it, but drinking it straight is just, ugh.
I think they oversell like that upper and the health benefits of tequila. I think they oversell that. I don't think it's really.
Yeah, tequila.
Love it. Did you want to go check and see if this is the same bottle?
Yes, I'm gonna look really quickly because
I'm going to be very impressed if you remembered it from a flavor perspective.
Let's see here. No, I don't see it here unless he's got it hidden somewhere special. It might have been Willet that he was talking about, because I saw that.
Yeah, Willet's great.
Yeah.
Willet's really, really great. But also, given your love for whiskey, there goes your earring again.
I'm just gonna give up on the earrings.
No, you gave it a good run. But like maybe like your ears are like, we're used to you being on stage and rocking, so
Yeah.
This ain't working out for us.
No.
But so my wife will drink all of our good whiskey, like when I'm out of town, and she'll make cocktails with it and she'll sip it. And so I've had to get to the point where I have to hide it from her. So he may be in a very similar situation where he's hiding stuff from you there, Megan.
He might be. I'm gonna have to search the house. It might have been the Willet maybe that I was thinking of. But okay, so I have to ask you, because since I've been in this quarantine, I've been trying to work on my cocktail skills. And although generally speaking, my preference is just to drink whiskey. I like to just sip it neat. I don't even like ice in it. Like that's just the way I do it. But I do enjoy an old fashioned or a Manhattan. the odd time. Do you have any like tips for like making the best ever old fashioned or Manhattan?
Yeah. So I'm much like you, where I prefer my my whiskeys neat. The key for me with this is stirring, is like having like the right utensils and like stirring it just for a long time, like maybe 5-10 minutes,
Okay.
letting some of that ice kind of melt in with the vermouth if it's a Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I even I like stirring the the sugar in with the whiskey for an old fashioned too. So I'm a big fan of like the stirring. And another drink that I'll tell you that is really kind of in that same simple category that you can have a lot of fun with, and that's a highball. It's not there's a lot of there's so many soda waters out right now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
in my house we have probably 5 different styles of soda water, whether it's grapefruit or lemon or lime or strawberry even. And what you can find is that you get a nice tall glass, fill it with ice, 1.5 or 2 ounces of bourbon, fill the rest of it up with a good soda water, and then put like a lemon over it, or like an orange zest, and like stir it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's one of the most refreshing, beautiful drinks, like a replacement for like a beer, if you will. And
Okay.
so that's one to play around with that I really like a lot.
I will definitely try that, because I mean we always have like flavored soda waters in the house. I try and get, I mean Mitchell doesn't drink them as much. I do it because I love the carbonation, but I don't want to drink pop or soda or whatever you want to call it, just because of all the sugar. So I will try that. That sounds very refreshing.
Yeah, the ones that I'm talking about don't have any of that kind of sugar. So it's
Yeah.
just straight, flavored soda water, but natural flavors versus
Yeah.
like Coca-Cola stuff. I mean,
Right.
Which are you able to go out and get groceries, or do you have them delivered right now?
We are able to go out and get them. I do try and get them delivered when there are like delivery windows available, because sometimes I'll go on, like Amazon Fresh or like the Whole Foods app or whatever, and I'll try and see, if I can get some stuff. And sometimes it'll say there are no delivery windows available, because I guess everybody's using it. So, I mean, if I have to, then we'll go to the grocery store. But I try and, if we do have to go, I try and really kind of stock up as best as I can, so we don't have to go all the time, which is very different than how I usually grocery shop, because I mean, most of the time we're only here for like a couple days at a time. Like say, we're in town maybe Monday through Wednesday, and then we're gone for the weekends, we're touring and stuff. So, I don't buy a lot of groceries at once. I'll buy, what I need for dinner and like a couple of essentials. So our fridge is just like packed right now. But,
Now,
yeah,
do
it's
you
weird.
2 fridges or just one?
We just have one, and honestly, what we really need is like a big deep freezer, because I have a lot of like wild game. I got a lot of deer meat. I've got turkey. I've got quail, pheasant. I think I still have some bear meat, maybe. I've got like everything, and right now we have like no room. And we went to go and try and get a deep freezer, so we had just bought this house in October, and at our old house we didn't have we didn't have anywhere to put one. And so we said when we moved in here we would get one to put in the garage. And as soon as the quarantine stuff happened, like every single place is sold out of deep freezers. Like every single, like you can't find one right now.
So you said bear meat. You got a bear?
I did, yes. It was a bit controversial for the internet, I guess. But I did a bear hunt in Manitoba a couple years ago, and it was one of the most amazing hunts I've ever done. It's the only time I've ever hunted bear. It was through a hunting show called Canada in the Rough. So it's brothers that they own that show, and they're actually from almost the same hometown that I grew up in. And I think, I mean, I've always gotten a lot of backlash about hunting, on the internet and stuff. And honestly, 9 times out of 10, it's more that people just are not educated. They just don't understand, what what hunting is really about. And a lot of times, you know, if I can, I try and have a conversation with people. You know, if they say something mean, I try and say, hey, you know, this is why I do this. And I try and explain and educate people as best as I can, because a lot of times I have those conversations and they go, oh, wow, like I didn't realize that. And I totally, you know, thank you for explaining that. So when I did that bear hunt, a lot of people were, it's funny how people pick and choose which animals they're okay with being hunted and which ones they're not. You know, it's like, people don't mind so much when you shoot turkeys as when you shoot a bear. And the reality is that bears in Manitoba, especially black bears, are really, really overpopulated. And so, you know, a big part of that is just conservation. And the other thing is too, I think a lot of people think that it's like a trophy hunt, which it's not. I would never hunt anything for a trophy. I don't hunt anything that I don't eat. And that bear meat was actually incredible. Some of the best wild game I've ever had. I only took a little bit of it home. Where we were hunting, there was a native reserve, and there was a couple families that had come on some hard times there. So I actually donated most of the meat to those families. And I paid a lot of money to have the hide tanned, so I have a rug. So, you know, every little piece of that bear was used and appreciated. And, you know, it's a shame that people, because there are a lot of people, I think, in the hunting industry, you know, on Instagram and on the internet that just really horribly misrepresent what a true hunter is, you know, and morals and being ethical it's very important to me when it comes to hunting. So, you know, I don't shy away from the fact that I do it. It's not something I'm shoving in people's faces or anything, but if I do post about it, or if I do talk about it, I always try and come from a place of educating people on the reasons why I do it. Mm-hmm. You know, and one of those reasons is that, you know, I believe that eating meat is part of a healthy diet. I believe that's the most, I don't know. I believe that's the best way to nourish my body, is to eat protein. And eating wild game is I mean, it's the healthiest protein you can get. I mean, it's completely organic. It's true like cage-free wild game. And I also know that the way that it was harvested was humane, because, you know, when you go pick up meat off the shelf in a grocery store, you don't know where it came from. You don't know how that animal was treated. You don't necessarily know what it ate or the way it lived. When I shoot something in the wild, I know exactly. I know everything about it, you know, especially when it comes to deer. I mean, you watch deer, you have cameras, you know where they live, where they sleep, what they eat. And most importantly, you know that when they do pass on, that they pass on in the most humane way any animal in the wild really can. So that's kind of my stance on it. I know not everybody agrees with it, but hey, can't please everybody.
I understand that. But we do live in this world where I guess they call it the cancel culture, where, you know, people like boycott people when they don't agree with them. Do you ever fear that with your passion here?
I don't fear it, because I mean, I used to, and I'd be lying if I said that sometimes, you know, I mean, I go on the internet, and I'd say sometimes more days than not, somebody says something mean to me, you know, on the internet, whether it's about my music or the way I look or about hunting or whatever it is. And when I first started getting comments like that, it really did get to me. And I kind of just like reached like a threshold where I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, if I'm going to follow this career, you know, I have to understand that this is going to be part of it. And that, you know, anybody who goes on the internet just to like say something shitty to another human being that they've never met, they've got to be pretty miserable themselves. And, you know, at the end of the day, I just had to accept I cannot please everybody. Not everybody's going to like me, and that's okay. You know, if they don't like me or my music or my lifestyle, then, you know, they can go buy a Taylor Swift record or whatever. You know, like, it's just, I mean, at the end of the day, I just find it so funny because, people, especially like country fans and people in the country industry love to, make judgments about who's country and who's not. Well, the flip side of that is, when people get mad at me for hunting, I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, God forbid a country singer do country things, So at the end of the day, there's always going to be somebody that has something to say about it. I know my reasons why I do what I do. I feel very strong in my convictions and why I do what I do. And I think my real fans and people that I relate to, they understand it and they like it. And the people that don't, well, they just were probably never going to be my fans anyway. So
Yeah. Well, I do know we got one whiskey left.
Yes.
This has been really, really good conversation. But
thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
At the core of all this is the whiskey. So
yes.
And I'm actually drinking it out of this one. I'm drinking out of my Bourbon and Beyond glass. This is a music festival that I co-created with Danny Wimmer, and
cool.
And as I look at it, I can't help but think of like what's going to happen to the music industry and music festivals, and the next. My wife, she's a marathon runner.
Oh wow.
And they're talking about like canceling the New York Marathon, which
I saw that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But
it's crazy times, man.
But the one thing that I am reminding people that we can take solace in, and even though we may be counties or states or countries apart, we can still have a virtual sip together and take a moment to enjoy a good dram.
Yes.
That's a little bit of what we've been doing here, Megan. So cheers.
Cheers.
Now this is Elijah Craig. This is a 2019. Came out last year.
Wow.
12-year-old, 135.2 proof.
Wow. I think I'm getting a little bit tipsy over here.
Well, I've been thinking about this. I'm like, I was wondering, am I sending people too much? But I'm sending them good whiskey, so I at least feel good that
Are
I'm
you
not
kidding me? I'm like holding on to these. I'm going to savor these little bottles here. Wow, that's really good. You know what though? I still feel like, I think the Woodinville or Woodville.
Woodinville, yeah. That's still your favorite?
I think it is.
That's amazing. That is amazing. You're talking about a really young bourbon that came from Washington, and a state that's not known for its whiskey making. And they're going to be thrilled to hear that. I'm sure they'll send you a bottle.
I really do. I mean, they were all like, don't get me wrong, every single one of them was delicious, but this one still stands out to me. It's really good.
That's awesome.
I'd say that if I was going to do it in order, I would put this one first, and then the Weller. Then I think the Elijah Craig, the Russell, and the what was it called? Contradiction. Yeah. And I mean, again, they're all incredible. I would be quite happy to drink any of these any day of the week, but really good.
There you have it, folks. Meghan Patrick has spoken. She has chosen a small craft whiskey over a Buffalo Trace antique collection. This is an upset of epic proportion.
Sorry. I mean, I don't know. I think I'm a little bit drunk now at this point, but
no, you're not.
I mean, they're all good. I think it's just, there's something about the flavor of the first one. There's like, I don't know. It's really good. I like it. I've never really had anything like that. Maybe that's why it's standing out to me.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. And I don't want to sound like I'm harping on it, but they're tiny, and they're new and they're from Washington. So that is, they've honed in on the
Well,
skill there.
I
And
mean, here's the thing. I have a soft spot for the underdog. I have been the underdog many a time. So maybe I can just taste a little bit of that small underdog thing in there, but it's really good.
maybe, but I hear you on the underdog side. I think anybody who has worked their butt off and made a career out of a passion, they were all the underdog at one point. And you have been fighting and clawing to get where you are. And I think the term rising star is probably overused. I think you are a star, and I think
Thank you very much.
and you've got a great career ahead of you, and we're all going to get out of this, and soon we'll see you on stage and doing your crazy leg things that you do.
You know what? I just the stage is my happy place. Like there is no drug or just anything like being up there. I really do miss it. I mean, like I said, I'm finding the good in this downtime, but that first time I step back on stage is going to be pretty amazing. So,
but you're also,
and actually the last show we played, I think it was right before they kind of had set, they hadn't really set like the quarantine yet, but they were kind of really just starting to crack down. Trump was closing the borders and stopping all international flights. And I remember we played that show, and this is right before we even really knew how serious all this was. And I remember going out before we went on stage, I said to my band, I was like, guys, I just have a feeling that this is going to be our last show for a long time. So let's just go out there and play it like it's going to be our last show for a long time. And it really was a very special show. I mean, one, just because it was a part of my own headlining tour, which I still hadn't even wrapped my head around the fact that was a thing, but I'm glad we treated it that way. And I think the next show back will feel very similar to that.
So you're also an incredible songwriter. Are you like,
thank you.
doing some writing right now?
Yeah. No, I've definitely been staying creative. It was weird, when everything first happened, I was feeling like, I don't know, this like anxiety and this pressure, like, okay, I got to do something useful with all this time. But I just was not feeling creative. I would sit down and I'd try and write, and I think I just wasn't able to turn off all the anxiety and everything. Like I couldn't get in the headspace of being creative. And so I kind of finally was just like, all right, you know what, Megan, just give yourself a break. Go, do some yard work or go for a run or go skate or something, and just get your mind off things and stop putting so much pressure. And I think once that happened, it kind of like lifted the pressure off of me. And I started doing some Zoom writes with a couple of my friends that are, that are also songwriters. It's definitely different. It's frustrating sometimes because it's just a kind of a slower process. And I feel like you're also missing that like energy of being in the room with people while you're creating something.
Yeah.
But I have managed to write some really great songs through this that I'm excited about. My boyfriend Mitchell and I wrote together for the first time, just the two of us, which we've never done. It's funny because everybody always asks like, oh my gosh, you guys must write together all the time. I'm like, no, I mean, if we get like that one day of the week at home, we probably just want to like lay on the couch and watch Netflix. So yeah, I'm definitely trying to use this time to dig deeper into who I am and what I want to say as an artist, and hopefully come out on the other side of all this with some great songs. So,
well, I know you're going to get through it, and you're going to get through it with a new love for whiskey and a renowned, invigorated hate for vodka as you wear your vodka suction. And if you need more, let me know. Like,
No, I will. I love this. Actually, my dad would love this shirt. He would love this so much. He's
awesome.
A big whiskey guy too. Yeah.
Well, send me his size, and I'll take care of him on that, and send him a book. And
oh my gosh, he would love that. That would be amazing.
You bet. I'd love to do that. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes.
we're going to get through this and come out on the other side with new songs from you and a tour that, you know, will rock the world. I can't wait for it. So grab your
Well,
favorite.
thank you. Cheers.
Cheers, my friend.